Okay, good evening. We'll call the meeting of the Southwest Supervisory Union meeting to order.
7:05.
First item on the agenda is public comments. Anybody from the public have any comments? Okay, seeing none. Next item is a presentation by Mr. Leon Johnson on accessing policies on the web.
I wouldn't call it a presentation, but there's been a lot of questions around the district about SVSU website and the policies specifically. So I thought with all this electronic stuff that we got, we might as well just cover the site and where things are pertaining to policies. And mainly policies, because that's the board responsibility to know and understand where all of the policies are with the public. So when they get asked a question, they can go right to it. So something that you can remember always is that the site itself is just www.svsu.org. And with that, just typing that in on your browser and click go, the SVSU website will show up right here, just like it is right now, with all of the districts on it, starting with Bendale all the way across to the middle school and then the high school. And down below that, you got the home page, and this is, hopefully this is, I can't increase this, but that's home page, and then it's got a section all about us, which we're going to come back to that. Quick links if you needed to do, go to some quick link things there. I'm going to go back. I think it's in there. Go ahead here. I'm used to a mouse, so I'm trying to use my fingers here for this. So you got department, contact, and then we have a new tab on the end here that says school board documents. That was added in just recently to make it a lot easier for you to be able to think school board documents. But if I didn't know anything about the district and I wanted to know some about it, I would just, what I just said, what about us? So what about us at SVSU? If I were to click on that tab just to be curious, under that tab is announcements, news events, employment opportunities, policies and procedures. So all of the board members and the public that want to know something about us, these are pretty much the main documents that you would be wanting to know about. And if you wanted to know something specifically about the school board, in particular at the top is listed at the top, and then just board documents on the side. So for tonight's purposes, I want to just go into policies and procedures. In the policies and procedures, there is one general statement in terms of unified board policies development. But I wanted to say that boards have agreed to work together. And that's important. And therefore all policies are developed supervisory union-wide so that the rules will not change when students and staff go from district to district. And that's important. So links to the supervisory union of the policies are below. So now that we know that we got SVSU, www.svsu.org, and we got policies, the website, and then now that we want to know something about us, and specifically for board members and everybody want to know things about the operation of the district, it's our policies. So the policies are set up, and we go across. We start at 1,000 for communication, community relations, administrative, business, and non-instructional, personnel, students, curriculum, and operation of the board. So those are the different categories that you should be concerned about. I mean that everything is in. So if I wanted to know something about community relations, I'll just click on that tab and I'll look and see what it is that the board have in here on community relations, just to understand what they are. There are a number of policies that deal with, one mainly the policy drafting committee, and all the other things that deal with community relations in terms of the school are right there. So I won't go into those, but I want you to know that they were there. So we'll go back out and we'll go to another category so you get a chance to see. All of these are in the 1000 series. So in here, all the policies, if we made a new one policy up that had something to do with community relations, it would follow the 1000 series. Go back here. Not very good and fast at this thing, I'll tell you that. Well, it's another way of doing it here, Frank, but I'll do it this way. Click on it and then
Screen there, Leon.
yeah, trying to do it without a mouse is
Yeah, I don't blame it.
the devil.
I want you to stand up, and I don't want to sit there and do.
Okay. All right. The next category is under 2000s, and that has to do with administration. And so in there, we have a couple of policies there. One, that states the position of administration in terms of non-discrimination. The superintendents and his evaluations you'll find in there. If we add any others, they'll go into that column. So we'll go back. So the next series of 3000 is business and non-instructional information. In this column, if you wanted to know something, the business manager usually have some things in this in terms of transportation. That's mandatory drug and alcohol test, transportation of employees, activity account, stuff along that line. You'll find that in this particular category, busing, parking, and driving, and so forth. So let's go to the next one. The next category is the 4000 has to do with personnel. And under personnel, if you want to know, well, there's harassment of employees, bullying prevention, appointment of administrators, conflict of interest, and so forth, and hiring, alcohol and drug, work-free place, and so forth. So that's the 4000 series. So if I needed to know something about that and safety of the school, I'll be looking in something that deals with personnel. On the 5000 series is the students. And this is the one where the parents may want to know, administrators want to know exactly what's going on, and the board members, because this is what is the meat of all of the policies that governs and has something to do with an equal opportunity for students to learn and to provide a good environment for them. So this is what all the policies are out here: prevention of harassment of students, and child abuse, neglect, and vice versa, educational support system. Everything is in the 5000 series. So if I wanted to know something, I would be in the 5000 series about the students.
Okay. Some legal references down at the bottom of that page.
Right. There's legal references down at the bottom. And then I'm going to give an example. Let's see. One of the one. Well, I start to go down and says something that I didn't say is that these are the policies. But one of the things that we've actually done in addition to something that the Board of Education didn't really recommend that we do is have the administrative regs follow the policy. And so we're trying to make sure that we have those things attached that follow right behind the policy. So if we were to go into one, we would wind up seeing that let's see here, one, attendance. 5030. Attendance policy has the basic policy piece, and if you just scroll down, because we have administrative regs attached to it, talk about the definition of absentee, and go to that. It breaks it on down into some procedures there. It goes to the elementary schools, it goes to the middle school, and it goes to the high school in terms of what the requirements are. So that's an additional to having to know what the policy is to have the administrative regs associated with that right on the site. I think it's a good thing to have it there, but that's information only as an interpretation of the policy by administration. The next category is curriculum, instructions, how we are required to deliver the instructions and what items control and govern that. One is to have the first thing, curriculum policy, in terms of what happened. The library material, everybody knows, well, all these books in this library, they got in here some kind of way, but that's a control over them. Copyright laws, internet use, email use, there's other things that has associated itself with curriculum and instruction in that 6,000 series. In the 7,000 series, it's the last thing, is the operation of the board. So for all the board members want to know, how do we supposed to operate? There's a correspondence to the board, there's a policy review evaluation, there's execution of the policies, administrative regs, board members' conflict of interest, executive committees, and public participation at board meetings. Just go in and read those, and you'll be able to educate yourself on what it is that we should be doing, and be able to provide information to the general public as to where the site is. So once again, what we wanted to do here is let you know that how to get to all of the information about the SVSU, and that's www.svsu.org. And once you're in there, you can go to All About Us and the policies. It was the last tab in there, and you'll see all of the different categories of where the policies are, and those that we have procedures attached to them will have them attached to them.
One note, Leon. There's a number of policies that are in development, and they won't necessarily be on this site until they've been sent around.
Good comment. That we, as a policy committee, meet and work on policies in the development process. They won't be on this site. All of these are the policies that have gone through all of the boards and came back to SVSU and have been adopted. So they've been reviewed, won, and adopted, and they're here. There's policies that we work on to update and make changes to, and once they go through the process, they would then either go to this site or take the place of the one that's on the site. So that's the goal tonight. I did want to, should I say, well, you know that there's a tab that says school board documents on here, so you'll be able to get into that.
Yeah, let me talk about that for a second, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Just very briefly, we're updating the site currently, so it's in process. So I don't want to go too far, but essentially what we're doing is we now have this tab over here, school board documents, and this will take you to whatever school board that you're at, and there's some pages that actually are cleaned up and aren't live yet, so it's not going to look a real lot different at this point. But it'll be a lot easier for you to go to whatever board you're trying to look for by just going, go over here and finding the documents. There's also, right now, we have current SVSU board docs. This would be the same for, like, if we went to Monument, and we go to Quick Links, it'd be current BSD board docs. So that if there's a special meeting, whatever the current meeting is that's there, that's where these docs will be. So we're also, when it's done, and if we're fortunate, maybe it'll be done by next month, and I can show everybody a more comprehensive thing. But we're also going to create a link in the calendar, so you can go to the calendar for the date and click on it. It'll take you right to the agenda for that meeting.
And so I think I'd like to have us do this at least once or twice a year at the beginning of the school year, so that everybody understand and know where things are, to be able to look at things at the start of the school year, and maybe after Christmas or something along that line, into the second half of the season, so everybody be familiar with that. So it's things like this that we want to be proactive and be more visible in and involve the public in knowing where documents are and how to get to them so it'll be easy to understand and be more familiar with the operation of the school. That's all I right now, unless you have a question for me.
Thank you, Leon.
Thank you. I'm working on the iPad now.
I think it's because iOS 9 allow for reading our documents.
Yeah, because they have this like weird, and they're all blown up and they're weird looking.
Yeah, I think it's an iOS thing. It's
Oh, okay.
it should be. But I'll look into that. Probably. See if I can find any better answers.
Very cool, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Leon, again for all that information.
No problem.
Number 3, special ed paraprofessionals.
I think you have a packet.
Just introduce yourself, Wendy, please.
I'm Wendy Pierce, I'm the Director of Special Education. I think you have a packet in your whole group that has the nomination, or the proposals for, I believe there may be 5 in your packet, but I think there may be some question about one of them. So there should be 3 BSD ones, a Shaftesbury, and an On Point Elementary one in your packet. Do you have those that you could look at?
The names from the nomination forms at the bottom of the agenda.
It's not they're not nomination forms, there aren't any names of people. They're the proposals for new positions.
Oh, they just say para.
Yes. So there are 3 at BSD schools, 1 at Monument, 1 at Molly Stark, and 1 at Bennington Elementary. Those have gone before the BSD Board. There is 1 at Shaftesbury. I think there's some more question about that we're going to discuss later. And then there's 1 at On Point Elementary, which actually it's On Point, or the STEP program. The STEP program is a program that's housed at On Point Elementary for special education and regular education students. It's a temporary placement for students through grades K through 12 who may need a little bit of time to take a break from school to get themselves reset, or are coming from a residential program back to our schools, who are undergoing some kind of like safety evaluation from the schools, or have come in from like an out-of-state school, and we're getting the program together, just haven't organized it, but we have an obligation to those students to get them into some kind of educational placement. They're usually very temporary, like 2 or 3 weeks at that placement. Currently, there is a full-time special education teacher in that program. It's 1 classroom. We can have 1 to 2 students in there. What we found this year is that we're really struggling with some of the schools, and we actually need to have maybe more students in those programs. There are 3 2-hour slots during the day, 8 to 10, 10 to 12, and 12 to 2. And what we're asking for is for another person, a paraprofessional, to be in that room. So there are 2 adults, and we can have up to 4 or 5 students in that program during those 2-hour slots. So I can answer any questions that you may have. Yes, sir.
Two simple questions. On the Bennington L, you say 50% of the cost in reimbursement from the state. Isn't that the federal government, not the state?
From the Fed through the state.
It's from the Fed, okay.
It's that regular special education reimbursement.
Yeah, so you're saying the state here. Okay.
Yes.
So that's okay.
Thank
And
you.
the other is, we're all aware of the rising cost of benefits. So a couple of these are $6,500 in benefits, and a couple are $10,600 in benefits. How are you calculating that?
I
How are you
believe,
determining that?
yeah, I believe what it is the way Rick and I had worked them out and looked at the different benefit scales of like where people were, the possibilities of where they were going to be, and what those cost of the benefits were going to be according to the different plans. And it's just a guess because we don't have necessarily people to go into these positions right away.
So assuming there's nobody to go in, shouldn't you just use a maximum number, maximum exposure? And what is that? Is
I
that,
could have done that.
are these people eligible for full family medical? The maximum eligibility is 10.6?
I think, I don't have the benefit of having it in front of me, but my recollection was it's a when they come in, whether they're hired at what point they're hired, they have to wait a waiting period of 90 days before they get in.
Okay, so the full year exposure for benefits, I assume that's FICA,
That's not the full year exposure, that's, I assume it has in there a date when they're hired.
from the start to finish, okay. So I'm trying to get at, if this was full year, what would be because these people aren't going to go away. I'm looking for the
If it's an
exposure for the SVSU for a full
If it's
year.
a non-intensive, if it's a, that's an oxymoron here, so if it's a regular special ed para, not intensive, you're talking about $32,000 full year salary and benefits. If it's an intensive, you're about $37,000.
And what portion of that is benefits, though, of the 32?
Couldn't hear you.
Of the 32, what would be benefits? 10.6 for 10?
$12,000.
So what kind of medical do they get for, even if they're married with a family?
Buy into the others, but we only provide them a certain 84% of the single family.
And that jives with the new laws yeah.
That's per the collective bargaining agreements and ACA.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Just a mechanical question. I've been able to watch some of these things take place, so I have no question about the need. Where do we go down the road? Out of three out of the four things said there's no money currently available for it, or there's no position. Where do we, as these numbers increase and we can't overspend our budget, what do we do?
And that's a difficult question, and I think we discussed it a lot last year during budget season. One of the things that I know that was discussed heavily was we have to build our budgets on December numbers. The majority of the reason that this is in place is of students who came in a few days or a week before school started or after school started. So there's almost no way for me to predict that influx of students. We can talk about it further at budgets, and I can say, okay, so what I'd like to do is budget one extra para for anybody who's going to come in or anybody, who may pop up during the summer. And that'll be a discussion that you as board members can have with me over that, of what our December numbers are compared to what our June numbers are. But again, when we're talking about these in particular, these mostly are all students who came in just a few days before school started or after our school started. So there really wasn't any way for us to say, we're going to have this need.
Well, I understand that part of
Yeah.
it, but you'd have to shift money out of something now to cover this, right?
In the state of Vermont, you're allowed to deficit spend, first of all. We've never done that, at least not in my lifetime of experience here, but we will work hard within those individual districts to find the necessary money to cover those expenses. Maybe doing what you're saying, a number of the districts, or all the districts, have contingency funds built in specifically for this purpose. One of the things Wendy and I have been working on or trying to do in the last couple of years, and we're getting closer, is we're trying to reallocate dollars. What we used to do before we got into some real budgetary crunches is we had reserves within the IDAB grant, because that is our most flexible special ed dollars. And when something like this happened, we would say, okay, IDAB will pick it up for the balance of this year, and then Bennington, you're going to have to budget for it next year. When we got real tight, we burned, it's not a good analogy either, but we used all those dollars. We didn't have that flexibility anymore. We're trying to get back to that. But we're looking within the individual districts, trying to find the money. And this isn't unusual. This happens every year. And we'll have conversation with those individual boards. Do you want us to do a supplemental assessment this year, pay it out of your cash flow this year? Or do you want us to carry that for you and give you a higher assessment next year, basically float you along? And depending on the district's cash position, they make different decisions in those situations. But it is difficult discussions that'll have to happen at the local boards.
Any more questions for me?
Wendy, we have all paras we need at Molly for the Acorn? We have 18 there?
At Molly for the New England Center for
Yeah,
Children?
New England.
Yes, we have those. Yes.
Any other questions of Wendy while she's here?
So, as far as authorizing this, Shasbury has to authorize theirs, and
Each board.
Bennington has to,
Each board votes on their commitment.
we're voting on something here? What are we voting on?
We're the hiring one, we hire them.
And the only one that doesn't really go before an individual board would be the On Point Elementary,
Yeah.
because that one's assessed to everybody.
So what are we being asked tonight? Ken, what are we being asked tonight?
Do we have to have a motion on this to approve this?
To approve the position.
I want to have, I'd like to have Shasbury's pulled from that, because we have more information I have to give the board, so all the board members have that information, and we do have a budget meeting tomorrow night, so.
So that was my question. So the other boards are already pre-approved this?
Into Bennington's
Bennington's
board.
approved it?
Did approve it.
And that's just Shasbury?
Ken?
Yeah.
Fran,
Yes.
can this board approve the position tonight so that we don't have to come back a month from now? We don't have to wait a month to do it? Understanding that the Shasbury board still needs to
Make a motion
act.
contingent on Shasbury approving it.
No, he's just saying that if you vote to approve this tonight, it doesn't lock you in
That's
Shaftesbury.
correct.
That's my
You
question.
can,
That's correct.
but it'll
Yeah.
delay it for a month the other way around. If you do approve it, then you have to come back here in November to
That's fine, we
I'll
can do
make a
that.
motion, we approve it.
I'll second it.
motion second.
The motion is for Shaftesbury's, or
No, you're gonna leave yours in, right?
Go leave it.
Well, we'll leave it in, but it doesn't
Yeah.
lock us in, if
Yeah.
it's
I'm
the motion
understanding
for
that.
all
Okay.
para positions to be approved with the exception of Shaftesbury contingent on the Shaftesbury vote.
Okay, right.
I'm happy with
I would ask that the on point be voted on separately, so I can abstain and vote for the other. Okay, thank you.
Can you amend your motion? Amend the second?
Yeah.
Okay.
Amend his motion to exclude on point.
I'll make the
On
amendment.
point will be voted on separately. Everything else is in the vote.
Okay.
Any other discussion on the numbers? Okay, all in favor? Unanimous. Now, Ray, you want to, someone make a motion on the on-point para.
Also move.
Okay, moved by Leon.
Second.
Second by Fran for the on-point position. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Against? Abstain? Okay. 911. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, financial operation treasurer's report.
Will we accept the
Motion-
treasurer's report?
Okay, a motion to accept the treasury report, second? All right, second. Discussion on the treasurer's report. Seeing none, all in favor of the treasurer's report? Raise your hand. Leon?
I'm sorry.
All right, unanimous. Okay, Solar Consortium proposed vote. Rick?
You have all, assuming you were at your board meeting, have all seen this, so I'm not going to go through this in great detail. I will hit the pertinent highlights. We have been a part of a school board consortium of 8 supervisory unions, totaling, I don't know how many school districts, that have put out to bid a solar net metering project. We received some very favorable contracts or proposals back, north of 30% discounts on our electric bills. They do come with educational opportunities for the schools. The supervisory union as a whole, with all of its districts, are going to save over $120,000 per year for the next 20 years, so some significant dollars. The SVSU specifically, the meter that this board is specifically concerned about is the one at the central office, which is about $3,000 savings per year. And hopefully coming around, I don't know if they've reached to you yet, is a motion to continue down this process and negotiate contracts with developers. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Do we have to put the period, you mentioned 20 years, do we have to put that in the motion?
No,
No.
no. We're just negotiating the contracts, which will be in the contract.
Any questions of Rick? I see Powell voted to join.
If we voted the other night.
She did.
Okay,
One thing I should add is just a note of interest. BSD is currently doing an energy audit with a separate engineering firm out of New Hampshire. And I sent them this information because it will affect their, that energy audit. And talking with the engineer today, he said, I had to read this 3 times. This is such a good deal that,
yeah, because if they didn't read this, our numbers would be inflated.
what's that?
If he didn't get this, our numbers would be inflated in the BSD.
Right. But I'm just saying it's a third party, recognition of the deal that we've received.
I was just wondering, that's a BSD school, so wouldn't it fall under our board's control?
Well, it's our net, we pay the bill. It's part of the lease agreement. It's SVSU's responsibility to pay the bill.
And you're
Oh,
assessing,
okay.
you're assessing the districts back.
Yeah,
Right.
net lease, triple net lease, whatever. This is a
All right.
It's your real estate, but it's.
So I figured being BSD is already in the consortium, so, and we already voted to stay in it, so being it's our property, wouldn't it then still be?
The way I interpret it is, it's an SVSU's meter. They get the bill. They need to agree to the.
Oh, okay.
They need to agree to the contract. I may be wrong, but that's the way I interpret it.
Should the word districts be supervisory unions? We're not technically a district, right?
Yeah, good point.
I have a question with the wording.
Yep.
So to negotiate on the district's behalf.
Well, Dick just made the point that it should be supervisory unions.
Oh, sorry. Thank Dick. Confusion.
Any other questions? Seeing none, someone make the motion that Rick handed out?
I'll make the motion.
All right, second?
I'll second it with
All right.
the
Motion.
clarification that you're going to change district to supervisory union.
Okay.
That was the motion to change it.
That's what you wanted.
I'll accept that amendment.
All right. No further discussion. All in favor of the motion? Against?
Abstain.
And abstain. So it's 9-1-1. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is the consent agenda. At the warrants. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion, questions?
No, I'm over.
Seeing none, all in favor of the consent agenda? Against? Abstain? One abstention. Okay. Okay, policies. We have 2 policies to warn and 1 to adopt. First policy is 5004, prevention of harassment, hazing, and bullying. We just need a motion to warn.
I'll move
this.
it.
Motion and second. And again, a warning doesn't mean adoption. This can go back to the committee with Leon.
At any point.
Anybody watching this program, when do you guys meet for the policies?
The first Monday of each month.
You're welcome
4:30.
the public if they have comments to come in.
That's right. This policy here was sent back from the State Department Board of Education and made perfectly clear who's responsible as being reporters in this, and when it comes to prevention, harassment, hazing, and bullying. And so these things were separate. They combined them all together. We gave it a new number. And so it specifically tells you who's responsible as being reporters in here. It's mandated that we have that. Okay.
You meet at central office, correct?
Right.
Yeah, central office first one, okay.
So, okay.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, we have motion to warn this?
5,004.
Yeah, 5,004.
Oh, I thought somebody did.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, we just got to vote on it.
All right. All in favor of warning 5004? Okay, unanimous. Thank you. Again, 5156, student nutrition and wellness to warn.
I'll move it.
Second. You have comments on this one, Leon?
Yes, this is a required policy as well as mandated by the food committee. I mean, in terms of nutrition, the contract is up for the review, and part of the stipulations in there at the same time that we go back and review the policy and make updates or changes based on federal regulations and so forth along that line. The food committee has been meeting. They came to the policy committee with recommendations and changes along this line. So what's in here is a reflection of what the requirements are. I think if you recall back, I think when we looked at the board, when we were talking about policies and procedures, Frank showed some regulation guidelines and so forth at the bottom. Some of them had to do with nutrition and wellness policy.
Okay, a motion then to warn this. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. And the last one, 5085, search and seizure. This one is to adopt it.
Move it.
Second. Second, okay. Do you have any comments on this one, Leon?
No, this has been around and it's just making it back to all of the boards and now back to SVSU for the final adoption.
Okay. All in favor of 5085, search and seizure? Unanimous. Thank you, Leon, and the rest of the group. Personnel, do we have anything under personnel? There's nothing there.
Do we do the appointment of a tech under the consent
yes.
agreement? Yes, then no other personnel.
Okay. Superintendent's report.
Good evening. Act 46 updates, first thing on my report. Some of you are on that committee. Our next meeting will be November 9th. We have so far studied student enrollment levels. I think a surprise that many of the Act 46 study committee found is that we were under the impression that our local enrollment, one of our standard thoughts was, been immune to the drops that other parts of the state, particularly up north, were experiencing. And when we looked at actually looked at our numbers from 10 years ago and charted them, we discovered that the state enrollment, student enrollment, has seen a reduction of 9.9% in the past 10 years since FY09, FY06. FY06 local enrollment has declined 16.67%. So that was an eye-opener for me. What we're working on to provide to the Act 46 committee for their next meeting is we're starting to look at staffing ratios. That's the request from that study committee, to look at staffing ratios, not just the student-teacher ratio, but also total staff, all employees to student ratio. So moving forward with discussions, and then after that November meeting, it is the intent of the Act 46 Study Committee to start holding their meetings in each individual school district and begin it with a public forum, inviting the public from that particular school district to come and express their opinions to the Act 46 Study Committee on their views of Act 46 or their knowledge or what questions they might have of it. We also are, I didn't bring any tonight because you'll get them at your own local committee meeting. We are handing out an Act 46 fact sheet to all board members, regardless of whether you're on the study committee. And so you'll be getting that. I think MAU got theirs last week, and so did Pownell. And also a short questionnaire that the central office has put together for all board members to answer about what outcomes they expect to come from Act 46 and what concerns that they might have. So then we will compile that information and share it with the study committee. B on my report, setting the meeting dates for November and December. I don't know if you've looked ahead at the calendar. Your November meeting is slated to be the night before Thanksgiving, and your December meeting is December 23rd, so 2 days before Christmas. In talking with the board chair, we have a recommendation that we don't hold a November meeting, have a meeting early in December, and then one in January, and early in January. It'll coincide with budget preparation. So the 2 dates that I'm recommending are December 8th, which is a Tuesday. You have to move away from Wednesdays because every other Wednesday is booked with other meetings, and Tuesday, January 5th. So my recommendation is that you set your next meeting early in December, December 8th, and January 5th.
Will there be 2 meetings in January?
Yes.
2 meetings.
Yes, because the January meeting could end up just being a budget meeting.
Okay.
Questions or comments on those dates?
Okay. So I don't think we need a motion to move
No,
the dates.
no,
I'm
we just
letting
make
you
sure
know
we-
that that's what we're going to warn them on that date.
Let's see, the 5th is a Tuesday as well, or?
Yes.
Okay.
2
I
Tuesdays.
just want 2 Tuesdays.
No November meeting, yes, no November meeting.
Very good.
Okay.
Okay.
Pownell Transportation Waiver. On Wednesday afternoon, Pownell had a special board meeting consulting with Steve Stitzel, school's attorney, giving them their opinion on whether they can pursue any additional waivers from the Agency of Education to continue operating their own transportation, or even to take it further to continue to operate their own transportation system beyond the 2-year waiver that they're asking for. What we heard is the probability of getting a waiver beyond 1 year is slim to none, and operating any time beyond that would probably not be granted by the Agency of Education. So Mr. Stitzel sent me a motion today to read at this meeting. So the motion reads that the board adopt the proposal in Superintendent Culkeen's August 18th, 2015 letter, which I have here, to Secretary of Education Holcomb to modify waiver request number 2. Waiver request number 2 in that letter was to request a 2-year waiver. So to modify request number 2 in that letter, to request a waiver to comply with 16 VSA section 261-8E through June 30th of 2016, so a 1-year waiver, instead of the June 30th, 2017, which is what we had originally requested, to allow Pownell to operate and pay for their regular transportation needs through their general fund. So, simple terms, a motion that this board supports requesting a 1-year waiver, which is the year that we are currently operating in. That's the year we're talking about. After that, we have to come into compliance and have the transportation arranged through the supervisory union. Questions?
Questions?
I'd like to hear from the Pownell representatives.
We fought hard to keep our buses, and Mr. Stitzel, what I heard, was he could find no legal basis for continuing our campaign to keep our buses. He also stipulated that when it does go out for bid, Pownell could bid,
Yes, he did.
that we could bid. So
Oh,
we're dead but not dead. So there's a little bit of hope at the end of the tunnel there. And so Angie, is that about what you heard?
We really have no choice.
Yeah. And the secretary offered us a one-year waiver. Okay, and that's all, he doesn't
Right.
quite say it there, but there's other reasons he's saying that, but
She offered us a
secretary-
one-year waiver contingent on this board voting to accept the conditions, which is that we'll be in compliance
Yeah, exactly.
by July 1 of 16, and I have to notify her within 7 days of this board's action tonight, of what we're
Pownell Board doesn't even have a say, only this board does.
True, right?
All right, that's, according to the way the law is written, the supervisory union arranges transportation.
Rick, does the bus contract we have now expire June 30th of 16?
No, 17, that's why we asked for the 2-year waiver initially, because it would line up with the.
There's an
it
interim
expired.
offer from Dufour, the cover.
Oh, so I was going to say, since there's going to be a lapse,
There's an
in other words,
amended-
they could bid on it, and...
That was all part of that package that.
She approved that? Senator?
Yes,
Ms.
because
Holcomb?
part of the packet that was mailed in is we had to have a quote from Dufour on what it would be to run the services next year, and we also had to submit documentation and figures of what it would cost Pownell to operate, and that's where she made her decision.
Okay. Ray?
What are the consequences for, why do we have to report this vote in 10 days?
My understanding, what the secretary said in her letter, that she may have to, if this board doesn't take any action, or if this board fails to accept the conditions of the waiver, her wording, she may evoke the provisions under Act 46 that support 150, which is what gave transportation operated under the SU, which could be a 5% penalty to every member of the supervisory board.
Property taxes.
Yeah.
Hammer.
That's if we don't.
So she didn't say
enforce these
she
conditions.
will, she said she may.
Speaking of bullying,
She hasn't read the policy.
George?
Jim and Angie, could you share with the board what the attorney, is that confidential?
It was
or
an
is
executive
public?
session.
It was an executive session.
It wasn't, all right.
So we need someone to make a motion to,
Yep. If someone wants to read that.
someone like to make the motion here that we accept the information from Secretary Holcomb about the busing, allow the 1-year waiver, and then the second year has to be a bidding. Now, did you already get a number from Dufour for their
Yes.
charges for the following year?
For the second year, yes. That was part of the arguments that we presented to the Secretary of
So
Education.
Pownell could justify a bid of $500, actually.
In 2, right, in 2 years. So the waivers for this year, so they have to come in compliance for next year. So it's 17 that the bid is completely open, that's when,
for everybody.
Pownell,
that just
as Jim
happens
said,
to be when it
yeah,
happens.
that's when, anybody would be free to
I can
bid
start my
on
own
providing
company.
transportation.
Are you free to bid on the one starting July 1 of 16 next year?
I don't think so.
No.
No, okay, you
We're
got it,
good.
This
all right.
waiver is to be
No,
accepted.
because
for
there
when
is
we
no bid in
give up the
16.
buses.
Okay,
But we got a motion, you started.
okay, right.
That was my question, So, in effect, Pownell has to shut down their bus service
Yeah.
in July 1st
Correct.
Yes.
of the 16. And but they can vote, they can bid for the 2017, starting July 1st, 2017 contract.
But Howie would do
That
that.
would be my understanding. They would have to mothball their buses for a year and then,
Apparently, our bus drivers,
somehow retain their
If
personnel.
we if any of the districts vote against this motion, which means basically voting against conditions, we're not voting against Pownell.
Penalty.
Yeah. She has the right to impose conditions unilaterally against the district that opposes?
No, if it passed.
If it doesn't pass.
Doesn't have to be unanimous.
Okay.
So if you voted no, they wouldn't be looking to put a penalty on North Bennington.
Well, how does Pownell wish us to vote?
Can I talk frankly, Angie?
Sure.
I'm planning to abstain, okay, but I think you have to vote yes. The lawyer is recommending that this board pass that motion.
Yes.
Okay. He's saying Powell has no more legal action to take today.
Okay.
And if you don't take this, the whole supervisory union is going to hit.
And if we pass it over your abstention, that's your protest.
I just want to stay consistent, that's all.
I just have a question now, because I've talked to some people from Powell. They said, like, you guys have an after-school program for skiing where you basically use your buses and go free, whereas Dufour's going to, could you use that? Is there loopholes anywhere where field trips?
All that's been argued.
No, that's all in the
But that's all in the
cost.
okay.
I made a cost sheet of what field trips are, after-school activities
Okay.
are.
Okay, then can we have a motion to this effect?
I'll make a motion.
All right.
We'll pass this to Richard, so you
Can we have a second on the motion?
That you want, I'll second it,
Okay,
but
second.
you didn't need to read it for the public to get it to understand it, that's
Do you want to read it? Or do you want-
You already read it.
I move that the board adopt the proposal of Superintendent Kilkeen's August 18, 2015 letter to Secretary of Ed Holcomb to modify waiver request number 2, to request a waiver to be compliance with 16 VSA Section 261A 8E through June 30th, 16 instead of June 30th, 17, to allow Pownell to operate and pay for their regular transportation needs through their general funds for this year. And then we have a motion and a second.
Yep.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in favor. Against? 1. Okay, 2. It's 9, and then abstain? 2 abstain. So it's 7 for, 2 against, 2 abstains.
Yeah. I mean,
You just passed the picture.
So,
Okay.
it's the ultimate bullying.
Richard, I have the amendment
Pens on the
for you.
floor.
Do you want the letter of August 18th for the record, Richard?
George,
Would you like the letter
pens on the
of
floor.
August 18th for the record too?
To sign that
referred
with.
to in the motions? No.
Oh, George.
So what was the vote on that?
7-2-2. 7-4-2 against 2.
Because I know that, just want to check my math, so abstaining counts as a no vote. Right now. So,
Here, we all.
7 if you still have enough, yeah, okay, all right.
Higher now.
Yeah.
Chair's
Yeah.
report.
Okay.
One more thing, I met with the Personnel Committee last week. One of the things I did was set my goals for next year. I'm just going to tell you what the 4 goals are, and then they're going to be attached once they're finalized with the Personnel Committee and sent to all boards, and they'll be under an FYI for all boards so that you'll see them, and we'll also be putting my goals on the website. So, let me just get them here. One of the goals easiest for me to talk to is Act 46. The goal is to facilitate a review and understanding of Act 46 by school members in the community. Parts of it's already been done, the creation of an Act 46 study committee, the reviewing of all options available to the SVSU, attend and arrange informational meetings and forums for Act 46, review and consider the inclusion of other SUs and the school district, and to disseminate information regarding Act 46 to all board members and stakeholders. And the benchmark for measurement, it will be that by June 2016, the Act 46 Study Committee will be prepared to make a recommendation to their respective boards. Goal number 2, job descriptions. to review, modify, and update job descriptions of the SVSU and central office employees, to work with the Assistant Superintendent and Director of Human Resources to standardize job descriptions, something that we're not really there. Fine-tune job descriptions to reflect current practices of the jobs and survey other supervisory unions and school districts for job-alike classifications. Benchmark for measurement, standardized classifications and groupings of all employees. New job descriptions will be periodically released to the Personnel Subcommittee for review. We did 2 of them last week. And at the conclusion of the job descriptions, new organizational chart to be presented to the Personnel Subcommittee and the SVSU Board. Fair, effective classroom teacher evaluation. This isn't really about doing teacher evaluation, but to make sure that all principals are doing them similar. So by June, principals and district administrators' ratings of classroom instruction will reflect a shared understanding of what classroom instruction entails and is being done at the proficient level. Principals and district administrators' feedback will be specific, timely, and targeted. One thing that we've already done is almost all our principals went through a class on evaluations that started this summer, concluded this month. We're all going to be participating in some group evaluations with volunteer teachers, and it's not so much to evaluate the teacher, it's for me to evaluate the principals doing the evaluations. Then we come back as a group and we meet and we share ideas and thoughts and what we observed. The goal is to get everyone doing evaluations in a similar manner. I want to monitor the frequency of principal visits to classrooms and review the quality of their feedback to teachers, which is critical to improving instruction. I plan to devote time at leadership team meetings to observing classroom instruction and sharing conclusions about the level of the practice observed. During school visits, I don't want to just visit the schools. I want to observe the classrooms with the principal and share with the principal conclusions about the level of practice observed. Measurement of that, the benchmark measurement of that, is at the end of the year. Administrative ratings of classroom observations will be comparable. The outcome will be comparable. And let me get to the last one. The last goal, I call that maintaining the momentum, is to keep the district moving forward during all the transitions and leadership that have been going on in the past 2 years by working with principals and other district leaders to ensure that meaningful progress is made on critical district and school goals. I want to complete with all principals and district administrators evaluation cycle. By the end of February, I want to complete formative evaluation conferences with each principal and the district administrators that I supervise. That is already in progress. By late spring, I want to conduct at least 3 school and classroom visits to each school. So that, you said, Jim, you're only going to go to school 3 times? No, I'll go to schools more frequently. What I'm saying is I want to spend enough time that I do 3 classroom observations minimum with each principal in each building sometime during the course of this year. And I think that will be insightful for me, and it also allows me to work with the principals to discuss what we absorbed together. By mid-July, complete summative evaluation reports for supervisors, analyze goal attainment. Benchmark for measurement, basically a log demonstrating that I have done at least 3 of those classroom visits. An analysis of the summative evaluation reports demonstrate that our principals are meeting the need of district goals. So these are in writing. I just need to finalize them, tweak a few things, and as I said, I already presented them to the Personnel Subcommittee, and then we will publish them, and they'll be there, and they'll be used in my evaluation. That's my report, unless there's questions.
Another subject, Lake Maury. Either you or Ken like to comment on the general?
Act 46.
Act 46.
Act 46.
Act 46. With a little update on negotiations and health insurance. But Act 46, dominated the conversation with, though there were,
Rejoicing thereon, or?
well, let me tell you, we heard from school districts that are well on their way to consolidation. That's tended to be what they highlighted at the meeting. There really weren't.
There's 21 issues that have started committees. Did they say that they don't think there'll be any finishing up for this year?
They don't think there's
fast
anyone
track.
who's gonna,
Fast track
Get
money
the
this year.
acceleration.
but they do think that there will be, was it 7 to 11 that will be doing the accelerated consolidation for next year. There's some with a vote already scheduled for this month on consolidation, so.
I don't remember the exact quote because the commissioner gave us a PowerPoint presentation, but one of the things, I copied it down, I don't have it with me, is about don't fall for the 10 cents
Yeah.
as a gimmick to, to sell it as for the tax rate. Basically, it's to
It's transition money.
transition money, like, we're lucky here, we have one contract, but some districts have 5 different contracts. So the ones at the lowest will have to come up, so some of that extra money savings will be going, basically, they won't see any savings, but they'll be able to adjust contracts and, as the superintendent, just adjustments, just to make everything meld. That's where they're gonna use that money. But don't look at it as a 10 cents in your pocket.
Because of the savings from that goes away in 5 years. So that should not be the reason why, the only reason that you go through consolidation. The savings has to show elsewhere, and that's, I imagine, why we're looking at staffing levels next.
Did you get the sense that this supervisor union was already pretty well consolidated?
No.
No,
No, really? As far as,
no.
Yeah, they
the
mentioned.
things we have to
Are we
consolidate?
consolidated more? Do we share resources
Yeah, sure, that's what I'm
more
not
than
sure.
some? Yes.
We share a lot of
Are we
resources.
consolidated? No.
No, okay, I'll be careful with my words here,
Yeah.
because we're separate districts, United States of America, And, but as separate districts, we really cooperate famously, I think. I think we do.
I think they might have said something about that. You need to be aware the fact is, there's a lot of room for movement and adjustments and things to be done. So we don't want to concentrate on saying, I'm there, and be complacent is the wrong thing. There's a lot of work to be done in this district, and then there's a lot of room to move, to improve. And so if you look at it that way, then we'll move on.
For us to stay the way we are, it's what they're calling an alternative structure.
Exactly.
And statewide, or state down, right, AOE, not a lot of support for alternative structures. And we're going to have to do, if that's the direction that the majority of the boards want to head towards, there's going to be a lot of work to document and prove that that's an effective way to run the
But we're going to look at
districts.
that.
We're going to look at all options.
Because the only one that benefits from, it's a joke. The only one that benefits from poor consolidation is the superintendent, as far as, he's a.
Because
most
I'll
obvious-
only have one board meeting
Yeah,
a month
yeah.
instead of 7?
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Exactly, but as far as there's no cost savings involved.
well, that's to
We
be
don't know yet.
determined.
We don't know yet.
That's to be
We don't-
determined.
we don't know yet.
The other is, we have North Bennington, and that puts us in an issue. If I see where we should be having discussions, it's what they're calling a side-by-side district, that, so that North Bennington can preserve their desire to have school choice and pay tuition. There can be a consolidation of what's called a side-by-side model, that everyone else is in one school district, they remain a school district, but we share as many resources as possible, and it preserves what is dear to them, which is tuition. But everyone's free to look elsewhere, and we're also free to look and see who wants to join us. I mean, I know Arlington is exploring other options, so we don't know where this is going to end up, and including, are we all going to be together at the end of this, and where really the savings is going to be.
Any other?
No, that's it.
How about the health, Rick, can you mention anything about the health insurance, what the increases are going to be, if any?
7.9.
7.9.
7.9, okay.
And they said in January 1st, 2018, all the programs for health insurance as we know them now will go away. And another 2 months or so, they're going to come out with all the new type of plans.
VHI, yes.
VHI, yes.
Okay.
Because one of the comments, because many districts, not in Vermont, but other states, what they do is give a smorgasbord to the teachers. In other words, you can have an HMO this way, HMO this way, PPO this way, PPO this way. You can have a lot. In Vermont, it seems like there's just one basic plan, the most expensive plan, and they're going to try and adjust that so people will have, or if they can see if people will accept choices. Because if you're a young couple, you may want an HMO because it'd be a lot cheaper, which would probably be the bronze or the cheaper. And if you're older and more, have more problems, you may want to go for the more expensive. In both places, the individual saves money and the district saves money. So, it's a win for everybody. But I don't know if they'll allow that choice stuff or not. It's kind of hairy. Okay, I just have one thing here. Rick called me up and asked me if I would reconstitute the Budget Committee, Finance Committee for the SVSU. Rick wants to start, I think you said next week, right? He wants to start next week with the SVSU budget, and I guess it'll be similar to last year. Each department comes in, justifies their increases. So he asked me to put the committee together, and mostly all the people that were on before, Bennington, George, Pownell, Jim, Shaftesbury, Fran, North Bennington, Ray, Woodford, Dick, Franz, MAU, Dick Durfee, myself. Now, if any of you don't want to do this, you got other commitments, just let me know and we'll put someone else on from your district, because we have one for each district.
You want an issue?
Yeah, similar to last year, I'd like to do them every Thursday, from now until December, whatever that was, 8th.
What time?
And I'm flexible to the group, whether you want to do 8 in the morning, 1 o'clock, 4 in the afternoon, 7 at night,
I know
whatever.
Dave works down in Williamstown.
Whatever is convenient for the group as a whole, but I'd like to do every Thursday and just pound it out one right after
Can we
another.
discuss that now?
That'd be nice.
Starting
I vote for
tomorrow,
6
the next-
o'clock.
Not tomorrow, a week from tomorrow.
I vote not before 6 PM.
6 all right with you, Dave?
6 would be fine for me, yeah.
Okay. Dick?
Yeah.
Ray?
No, I can't make 6 conveniently. I may see if Matthew can do it.
You want it later? 6:30?
No, earlier.
One in the morning?
No, early afternoon would be better, but, so I don't think that's possible for most people, so I think,
You'll organize an individual, one of your board members to come then?
I'll figure it out. yeah.
Okay, thank you.
How long, what's the schedule length?
How long per meeting?
Yes.
Hour and a half, maybe? Hour and a half?
Figure an hour and a half with spillover, maybe.
Did you name a chairman? Because last year was Tim. Over.
George, yourself, Fran, Ray, Dick?
No, chairman.
You can elect one when you meet.
Yeah, I can make me.
You can name one.
Basically, we just get reports from all the different departments. That's the way it works.
I know, I was on last year, but last year Tim Holbrook was
Year before.
the year before?
Yeah.
I was not. I don't remember.
Anyway,
Last year, I think Ken chaired it.
Yeah.
So do we all agree 6 o'clock then? And Ray was going to get a gentleman from, or a lady from North Bennington. And if any of you have second thoughts, just let me know and we'll get another person from your.
Can we have voting alternates though? Or how's that going?
Everybody's welcome to these meetings.
Yeah, I came last year and I
But
wouldn't
if I
have.
can't make it and Angie is willing to go in my place,
Oh,
she
yeah.
vote.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
So Pownell will have a vote at every
Oh, yeah,
meeting.
everyone,
The
yes.
committee, that committee's just gonna come back and make a recommendation to the full committee.
That's all.
It's like personnel. We listen to the superintendent's goals, and then we say, okay, and we bring them back here for a final approval by the whole board.
So anybody from Pownell can, We want somebody there from Pownell at every meeting.
Yes, oh,
I
yes.
can get anybody who wants to go.
Yes.
Okay, it'll be fine.
If you can't, it's continuity. If the same person comes all the time.
That would be helpful, so we're not
No, I'm just
regurgitating information
saying,
each meeting.
We need somebody there.
Yes.
I got another. Ken.
Okay. Other, Leon?
Okay. I should have covered this other on the policy piece from the beginning, but I didn't think it fitted right there. This has to do with the enrollment data and our attendance policy. Remember I told you that we met all last year and we decided to beef up the attendance policy and look for information to come to SVSU at least semi-annually in terms of student enrollment. So that was done last year, and we met again this year, and Donna and Frank and more of the central office administrators got together and looked at Infinite's campus and was able to pull the information of attendance right out and still just supplying it, giving it to us every 6 months. They decided that, hey, we can do this every month for you. So right now on the FYI, it says FVIO student enrollment for October. The information is there for every district. And I remember Jim last month when I said something, Jim says, Pownell's doing theirs and we're okay. Well, I said, wait, hold it, we better look at everybody together. And the purpose of this is to make sure that as a group, as a SVSU, that we're able to look at district-wide the attendance. There were business and industry involved in this as well out here, and the educators are saying we can't educate students if we don't have them at school. And business is saying, you know, you got kids that don't want to come to work, and then you can't even get them to come to school, vice versa. So this piece of information is very good. If you take a look, it did it by district at the bottom, and we'll get this monthly, and it started out with Benel as 95.37%, Molly Starr 95.14%, Monument was 96.63%, Early Ed 99.23%, Pownell 96.39%, Shasberry 97.45%, Woodford 96.38%, Mount Anthony Middle School 95.24%, and the high school was 93.92% of attendance. And this is last month. And we'll get this data every month. If you average that out, it looks like we have about 95.28% of the students in the district attending school that was in attendance last month in accordance with the attendance policy.
95% is considered good. It is considered about as high as a school can achieve. That's the goal, is 95%.
So,
I mean, obviously you want 100, but it's usually.
Yeah, so you'll be able to see that data every month right on the bottom of that sheet and know what's happening out here along that line. I hate to see that, well, you tell me if I look at this and I shouldn't be interpreting early ed. The kids, parents are really concerned about the early education of their kids and they're getting them to school. At the high school level, it's a little lower. And I don't know what the plus or minus is on that, but if you just looked at the raw data, and this is 1 month, we're going to be looking at all of that and saying that if this is consistently lower, business has some concerns of saying, wait a minute, you got to do a better job of getting these kids to school and getting them to be in attendance because we want them to come to work and we want them here every day. So
historically, if it holds to historical trends, we will see it drop as we get into midwinter and then rise again. But now we're able to look at it monthly to see if those trends hold and then what we need to adjust because of it.
So that's another thing that came out of the policy committee.
Okay, thank you again.
Okay.
Any others? Right.
Last month, as the minutes that we approved as part of the consent agenda tell us, my vice chair from North Bennington came and asked some questions about the CEP program and why North Bennington was not included. Of according to later discussion, there was supposed to be a report on that this month. But I know that I've been asked to allow the superintendent and the CFO to come and speak to my board directly about it. However, I do want to make one comment about this. I think that since the program was a possibility for this SU a year ago, and the reason we didn't do it was that we needed to work on making sure it was equitable and that we could include all SVSU's children. And since North Bennington students are SVSU students, I think that we have not met the equitable standard here. I know that I've seen the emails of justification from Amy Fowler at the State of Vermont, but it seems to me that if we look at our goal number 3, which sits on our agenda page, to develop and foster a culture within the SVSU community in which behavior and communication are driven by values of respect, honesty, commitment, and openness, I think we're falling down there. I think at minimum there should have been an effort to work out with my public academy, which serves all the children of North Bennington that choose to go there, a way in which to resolve this so that they can be included. Certainly they are not, their cert rate for free and reduced lunch is in the same range as Shaftesbury, probably Sacred Heart, and would not have dragged the SU out of qualification for this grant. It's other things. It's a technical matter, as Amy Fowler states it in her email or letter. Technical matter that the USDA, which emphasizes LEAs, also says that though it has to be a food service authority that has a unitary food service authority that has a contract with the state. And that's the technicality. I think that could have been corrected and can still be corrected, and I expect to see some action in that direction.
Ray, do the youngsters who go 7 through 12 get the free lunches?
Sure, they come to Mount Anthony, right?
I sit on the food service committee for the SVSU, and mainly the issue is that, well, you actually sit on the board for the North Bennington graded school.
Yes.
Which is a non-operational member of the SVSU.
Yes, but we have students.
Which belong to the North Bennington Village School, which
we have students, Gene.
Which is not a member of the SVSU.
We have students in the SU.
No, you don't.
Yes,
yes
we do.
You do.
And if we didn't, then we should not be assessed all the money we're being assessed.
And those students that are members of the SVSU do receive free lunches because they go to the middle school and they go to the high school.
Our students receive free lunches too, if they're free and reduced lunch.
The students that are in North Bennington that go to the village school are not students of the SVSU.
Oh, okay. So I think that implies, if that were really true, which it's not, that would imply that we would have a considerable difference in our level of assessments beyond what we have now. Our assessments are pretty high, but everybody's are.
The students that are in the village school, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have a separate contract with the Abbey Group, correct?
Yes, they do. That is the technicality upon which, that I just mentioned. That does not make the students not students in the SVSU.
You don't meet the criteria in order to make the CEP standards.
Well, happily for some people, we don't
Okay.
at the moment.
And that's the rub, unfortunately, or as you say,
Okay.
happily.
What my point was, and you're ignoring it.
No,
My
I'm
point
not.
was that the values of this organization are such that an effort should have been made to find a way around this. And there is a way around it, I'm pretty sure, which is to reincorporate the village school food
Back into
service
the
into the
SVSU.
SU. But that was never broached, and I don't understand why. That's my point.
I think this can hopefully be solved or talked about when the superintendent of finance goes to their meeting. I don't think this is a place where you need to hash this out right here.
Well, it's an SVSU.
No, I know your expertise because you're on the food service committee and you get the
What
background.
Ray is, okay, but what Ray is saying, can we not at least
No, I think-
ask our superintendent and our business manager to pursue the point that Ray brings up?
Well, I think that will get,
Could they rejoin our food authority?
Right.
So that's what he's asking.
well, there'll be a discussion when they have the meeting over in North Bennington. That's really a one-on-one.
No, not necessarily, it isn't a one-on-one.
No, I mean, if they have a recommendation they want to make through, what is her name, Mrs. Fowler, you said?
Amy Fowler, she's assistant
Maybe there's something
secretary.
administration and stuff can work out if there's a technicality. I don't know that, but I think that's between the superintendent, Rick, and Ray's committee.
There is a technicality, and
so-
Gene has stated it. I stated it before him.
So all we're saying is whatever it is, it shouldn't be, work it out is what he's saying, so that we can all be under one umbrella. That's
Right.
That's what.
As I said last month, it is very difficult to read a letter on the SVSU website and to read a press release from the CFO saying that we have worked out an equitable solution so that all students in the SVSU can be served by this program, when it's not true. It's false.
Rick?
It's difficult to accept that that's an equitable solution.
The reality, the facts that need to be understood is the Village School of North Bennington, a private entity, created their own food service authority. They chose to leave the supervisory union district. They chose to leave the food service authority. The food service authority is an enterprise fund in and of itself. And they created their own, which created their own problem. So I don't think it's fair to imply or even state that the SVSU has not allowed them to do anything when they made the choice to do what they've done.
Okay, I have one point, and then I think we need to close this off. The point is, they weren't asked if they would change that.
That's what he said.
And the point is that, in fact, the letter and the press release say all students, and includes Sacred Heart students. Sacred Heart is an independent school.
So I apologize if the wording was misspoken.
I don't think you have the right to say all students.
I just apologize for miswording.
Okay.
But the fact
But
is,
I really would be
all the
more
students in the
interested
food
in-
service authority are covered.
I think
So
what
he's
I can
not
changing
yeah,
Ray,
yeah.
is that we're going to revisit this, and I don't know, sitting here tonight, is whether it's as simple as asking the village school, not saying, hey, do you want to join our food service authority? My little understanding on this issue is there could be financial impact to the current SVSU Food Service Authority if we join. So I need to get that answered, and
Well, the
And see
rate at
if
which
they
you
are.
get reimbursed would probably change a little bit, because we probably have 9 fewer students than,
my understanding is
40%.
it's not just the rate of reimbursement,
There may
could
be other
impact on
rates.
the enterprise fund, because
Okay.
one is profitable and one isn't, but one is self-sustaining and one requires a subsidy. I don't have that information to know whether that's an accurate statement here tonight, but I will look at that, and I will meet with the CFO and see, and I will reach out to the principal of the Village School of North Bennington and see, one, do they wish to rejoin the Food Service Authority. We'll research with the Agency of Education to make sure that, is that possible? And then we'd come back to this board with, is there a financial implication that everybody needs to understand?
Okay, thank you.
Clear.
All right, I think it's a plan.
Okay.
Anybody
Move to
else? The motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second. Angie, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, unanimous.
So, I went to Lake Quarry too. I tried to attend the non-operating district, the meeting.
Was there